Wide open, another video. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for stopping in. I really do appreciate you guys. Today I want to discuss a little bit about the dark night of the soul. I want to do these videos as I'm going through it so I can offer you some modalities that are working for me. Pain is only a visitor that carries a message for my true soul. And the first writings about the dark night of the soul was from Saint John of the Cross. He was a Spanish man. He was a mystic. He was a Carmelite monk in the 16th century, a spiritual guru, out of the box thinker. And he was imprisoned for 8 years due to his beliefs. And during that time, he experienced a dark night of the soul, and he wrote about it. And so I will leave a link in the tags description for information in that section if you want to read more about it. It's a beautiful story. He wrote a very beautiful poem as well. So I think what he wrote about, where he talks about the gifts lie in the unseen dark, it's very true. So I want to welcome you back to another video on Cracked Wide Open. And today I'm going to be discussing my dark night of the soul, right? And what it means to me. And I think there's a lot of videos out there that is very informative and has so much information, yet they seem to be after the fact. And so I want to kind of bring these to you guys in the community for those that are looking in the event that you're experiencing something like I am currently and going through it. So I want to talk about it a little bit. I appreciate you all so much for being here with me. You humble me greatly. Thank you. I have much gratitude for your presence. My life was built up by me and my story, being a nurse, a mother, a wife, a daughter, right? My life, me, like I said, my story. Now, my entire life, I have been given my life meaning. How? I've been doing it by the things that I did, the things that were given to me in life, also by some of the activities, my schooling, my achievements, right? As I was growing up through my journey in life. And I've thought of all the things that I wanted to do and could do and how to get there and the things that I needed to get me there. And I considered what was important and what was meaningful for me and all that stuff made up my identity, me, Cheryl, who I was, right? I identified as being all of those things, and that is not who you are. So when all of these things began collapsing in my life that surrounded who I identified as being that person, something happened. It was a crack. That's all I can say. It was a crack, and that's why I call these videos Cracked Wide Open. There was a space and a gap in my mind and my consciousness that came in. My whole identity collapsed during my sleep, it seemed. So when I woke up on March 28th, 2019, and my feet hit the floor, I immediately knew something was different. I knew my name. I knew where I was completely oriented, and there wasn't anything wrong with me, and I was asymptomatic, but I did not know who I was. I didn't know who I identified with. And the reason that occurred was because there was a collapsing in my life of everything that surrounded me that I identified with as me and my life. I had gone to bed extremely frustrated and upset that my entire life was crumbling around me with what seemed like no explanation, only to awaken not knowing who I was and truly not knowing. And my first response was I smelled coffee, and it was so profound, so profound. It was an awakening, but I didn't know it was an awakening at that time. And I think the awakening or the collapsing of everything occurred in my sleep, because when I went to sleep, I was still experiencing extreme pain and suffering in my life, and it was falling apart. And so I sat on the edge of my bed, and I knew my name, and I was oriented, and I was asymptomatic, and I walked to the kitchen in my home, and my husband was making coffee. And I remember the smell. It was so strong, and it smelled so delicious. And I said, I think you came into my room and hit me in the head with a baseball bat and stole my soul. I don't know who I am. I don't recall him saying much. What would you say to something like that if someone said that to you? There were things happening in my life I couldn't explain. My world was crumbling around me, and my entire life and identity was invalidated. And it was happening so fast, I didn't know what was happening to me. And I felt like I was split in half, like a tree, being hit by lightning and just splits that tree in half. Again, hensing the video cracked wide open. The names of these videos is very fitting for how it made me feel. Cracked. There was a crack in my mind, in my mind's eye, in my consciousness, in my spirit, in my soul, in my emotional body. And there was this shift, a space, an opening in my mind, in consciousness. And I couldn't analytically explain it. I couldn't put words to it because it's a feeling. And it was coming from the inside of me outwardly. And I knew I was feeling this peace, this joy, and I could feel this unconditional love that was so strong and so profound. And I couldn't understand how I could feel this peaceful and this joyful and this much love when my world around me was just crumbling. Oh, I didn't understand it. And then there's days I still don't think I understand. So it's been 2 years and 2 months as of today, and it's an ongoing journey, right? But I felt my entire life collapsing when in reality, my whole world, the life, the framework, I had conceptualized as my life, right? It collapsed. And after months of meditation, soul searching, gut wrenching shadow work, and getting focused about the truth of one's soul and the one soul's journey and what has been my greatest obstacle in life, I am learning what has happened to me. And life wasn't the same. It isn't the same. And I realize my mind is what has given my life meaning up to that point, right? So when it collapsed, so did the mind, metaphorically speaking. This is scary. This is really scary because I didn't know who I was any longer, nor who I was going to become. This void, sorry about that. This void, this space is the dark night of the soul. That's why they call it the dark night of the soul. Okay, Veronica, stop. So, a transformation from what was to what will be expected, it's in consciousness now. I don't have any idea. I don't know what, when, how, when, or where I'm going. I'm just I'm riding with consciousness. And now the mind that I built my life around by my mental pictures, my identity has fallen away. It's like magic. It's like magic. So the dark night of the soul is it's a transformational state of consciousness from what was to what will be, meaning I, meaning me, I am, therefore I am consciousness. Prior to being consciousness, I was a nurse, I was a mother, I was a wife, I was, all these things that I identified with. That was just an identity I identified with and built my world. That's what collapsed. And when my old life collapsed and I had no identity to hang on to anymore, nor identify with, it caused this shift. I'll leave a link. I believe Mr. Tolle speaks about that any profound losses or very profound suffering in your life could cause this kind of shift. So I felt it in a space between the life that I identified with and the collapsed one, between the new one that's emerging, hence the dark night of the soul. I'm in the dark. I feel like I'm in the dark out in La La Land, in Tubaktum, in Kingdom, wherever you call it, right? I don't know what you call it, but Kingdom Come or something like that. But that's hence the dark night. That is you in the midst of the middle. And I've asked myself several times, is this psychosis during this? Have I lost my mind? What's happening to me? I had no one to assist me in this integration. And that's why I bring up the point again about sharing with you while I'm going through it, because I want you to see the authenticity of it and how I'm getting through it. And if I can do this, you're no different than I, and I no different than you. And we can grow in consciousness together and increase this collective awareness, right? The dark night of the soul, to me, is it's an in-between space. It's a bridge, I'm going to call it. It's a gap between consciousness and subconsciousness. Okay? And I'm not talking about when you bring a patient to my ER room and they say he's unconscious. That's someone hit him in the head and he's been knocked out. I'm talking about on a deep, profound inner level, we have a subconscious and a consciousness. And that subconsciousness is very slick, the ego. And until I'm able to assign some sort of direction and meaning to who I am now, in presence, in consciousness, where I'm going and how I'm going to get there, and the what, the when, the whys, and with whom, all up in the air. I have no idea. It's unfolding in front of my very eyes. I'm completely and utterly surrendered to the will of my Creator, and it is okay that I don't know. It's very weird. I'm sure you can see I'm shaken. I'm very scared on some level, but I think this that I'm feeling today is excitement that I haven't felt in a very long time. And it's weird. It's no longer a conceptual meaning that I can easily explain to someone. I had an awakening due to this collapsing of who I was or who I identified with being. That's what occurred to me. And often, quite often, it's from there that people awaken out of their conceptual sense of reality. The veil is removed and you begin to realize things that were not true and were limited and false beliefs. It's quite profound. I'm going to give you 2 examples, and I can only use my own because that's all I have. When I was going through this, I was sitting outside shortly after a meditation session with myself, and literally had been a hermit for about a year already. And I was meditating, and I look up in the sky, and spirit, God, consciousness, divine, whatever you are going to identify with as your God, showed me boxes, prison bars. Why boxes? Why prison bars? Because I was raised on a self-limiting belief, and those self-limiting beliefs that I taught myself, or that was taught to me, that I lived out, caused me grave suffering in my life, because I limited myself mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and put myself in that box. And spirit was trying to show me the box I had placed myself in, the mental prison that I had placed myself in. At that point, it was already shadow work that was happening, and I didn't know what shadow work was at that time. So a dark night of the soul, again, is just the in-between, the not knowing your place and where you're headed. And it can be unnerving and scary. And in my experience, it's I came from a collapsing of a 30-year marriage, so that on top of it feels like I'm going through the death and dying processes of grieving my spouse. And so the dark night is just that, the darkness in the space between the places, the past and the future, which do not exist. Only consciousness and now do. This doesn't exist and this doesn't exist, which either one of them doesn't exist. Can you show me the future? You can't. Can you show me the past? You can't. It's futile. So I don't struggle anymore. I don't worry. I need not worry of this. And I sit in consciousness with my Creator. When action is required, I take it. I'm not in control. Consciousness is. God, Creator, divine, source, spirit, whatever you identify with, right? I was being run on an autopilot program. You've heard me speak of it before. I call it the Judy Jetsons. I was just like, I had a habitual mind pattern based on those limiting beliefs I just spoke of. And those limiting beliefs and habitual mind pattern were taught to me by my upbringing, which turns out they're all false, pseudo, fake. The veil came down and spirit showed me the truth. That's what's revealed. It's profound, you guys. It's very profound. I am consciousness, therefore I am. And I don't need anyone to tell me that. A collapse of my mind-made meaning of my life, it fell away like magically, and it profoundly occurred. And here's my other example. Negative energy is correlated with darkness, is it not? Ghosts, goblins, ghouls, and evil things. Everybody says it's darkness. I could literally see basketballs of balls that were dark, black, just falling off my psyche, my person, onto the ground. I'm like, what am I seeing? And that's where I said again, am I having psychosis? Am I losing my mind? And I didn't. I went to the doctor. I went to ER. I had EEGs, EKGs, head scans, brain scans, went to counseling, went to spiritual centers. I went everywhere I could. I sit in the kingdom of heaven with my Creator, and I seek His face negating self. And I eat, sleep, work, shop, all those mundane things in life we must do. Yet now is no longer a means to an end to me. It's blissful. I can plant a flower and I can do it an hour and a half long and have so much peace and joy doing it. I vibrate on a level that should be electrocuting me. My taste buds, I taste things that makes me feel like I've never tasted anything in my entire life, that I've never eaten a thing. The aromas I smell are so profound. It is so beautiful and so loving and so peaceful. And the only time I move is when it's required. I take the actions that are required for something practical. And when it's done, I'm back in vibration mode, in consciousness, teaching, giving back what has so graciously been given to me by my Creator. Because I didn't even know this existed. I didn't even know you could have one. No one told me. No one said, well, hey, when you're 10 or 11, let me tell you about this, that this could possibly happen to you. No. They should be teaching this stuff in kindergarten. We wouldn't have the problems in the world we have. The collective would not be as egoically negative as it is. So, there are ways you can navigate the dark night of the soul. There's assistance if you are experiencing this. You can contact me. You can contact a person that is a guru, a spiritual teacher, a Reiki practitioner, or someone that has actually gone through this. Okay? You really need someone who has gone through this to help you, because what we cannot do alone, we can do together. What's the Bible say? Where one or more is, there he is in the midst. One or more are gathered, there he is in the midst. So, meditation's been extremely helpful for me. I probably have, in 2 years and 2 months, I can't even tell you the amount of hours I have discussing the amount of hours in meditation I have. It's a lot. It's probably 6 hours and at least a day. And I want to discuss what's happening to me, to you, and let you know that if this is what's going on in your life, you're not psychotic. You're not crazy. You're having an awakening. And it is a natural process of you growing spiritually and evolving into the soul that you were contracted to be when you came here. But the best advice I can give you is you're not your mind. You're not even your thoughts. Your thoughts are fleeting like the wind outside your door. They're going to come one right after another. And it isn't until you engage them and create an emotion in your physical body that assists you that you identify with it, good, bad, or indifferent. So you must be vigilant and be the witness, because you must be a seeker, like you are looking out a window at yourself behind a screen. I've said to you guys in my lives before, I think or I feel, I don't think because that's a wrong statement. I feel like I am behind myself inside looking out the window, and the window is my eyes, the screen. And now I am the seeker, and I am looking out the window at myself behind a screen. It's so profound. And if you try and you calm the voice in the head, because we all have the voice in the head, right? The chatter, that's part of the habitual mind pattern. When you have a spiritual awakening, your egoic mind chatter dies, and you will no longer have a voice in the head. These modalities know our cells. I mean, think about this for just 1 second, okay? Did you give direction, or did your mother and dad give direction of the cell that they created in utero, how it was going to grow, develop, gain a heart, gain eyes, fingernails, feet, 5 fingers, 5 toes, ears, and be structurally sound and perfect? No, we didn't have any part in that. And you don't have any part in this. The only thing you can do, be the witness, the seeker, like you're looking out your own window behind that screen. Try, if you can, to calm that voice in the head. The ego is very subtle and very powerful, and will try to sneak in the back door and renew itself in any way, shape, or form it can, because it is aware it's dying and it cannot exist in consciousness, love, peace, and joy. So please, I yield you, please try. Please try to calm that head through modalities. Know that thoughts are normal and they're fleeting, and you don't have to give meaning to each and every single one of them, right? Excuse me, I'm parched. Thank you. There may be valence. There may be valence. I don't even know if that's the word I want to use. I'm going to say there might be acting out of behavior, right? You might be vigilant about that and act it out, that you become aware that your ego, once you're aware of that, it becomes behavior, and your ego begins to die. If you feed it the insatiable alien, I call it, the animal, the Judy Jetson, it's going to continue going like the Energizer Bunny, and going and going and going and going and going. And you're not going to get off the habitual hamster wheel. It comes out of nowhere because it knows it's dying, right? Don't feed the alien or the animal. Just keep coming back, metaphorically speaking to yourself. I'm okay. Listen to music. Say, I'm going through something. I'm having an experience. My soul knows what my soul wants and is for the higher good of myself. Take walks in nature. Get barefoot in the grass. Count to 10 before you react. Try and have proper prana breathing. Try and Google breathing techniques, the normal way you're supposed to breathe. Because if you're running on the Judy Jetson's egoic mind pattern, I'm just going to call her the Judy Jetson. I love that. Then you're going to be off and running before you know it, right? And you're going to be running on that egoic mind pattern, and there your mind is running you. You are not running you. So you're not acting on your spiritual sovereigns at all. I no longer have an agenda. I'm not superior. I'm not less than. I'm nothing. I'm simply the conduit in which God has chosen. That's it. So there are many modalities, but the best way to talk about it is to talk to someone who can assist you and has gone through it or is going through it, as I said. Remember, it's personal to you. but it's really not personal. And you'll understand that when it happens. So I'm not going to even try to explain it. Okay. Because it's a feeling and you'll just know what I'm saying. You'll come back and you'll go, oh, I know what she meant now. We are all meant to arrive at a place of conceptual meaninglessness. Okay. A state of ignorance. Things lost their meaning, and I had given them, which was conditioned by my mind pattern and cultured by my upbringing, and so on and so on and so on. And so I look at the world now without imposing a mind-made framework of meaning to it. And before I didn't do that. That framework I built for myself, it was all in my conceptual mind, built by me. And when it all fell away, I didn't understand. And that's why, again, they call it the dark night of the soul, because you won't understand. You won't be able to analytically understand. Let me just please reiterate that. You'll run around scrambling, trying to define it, trying to find answers, reasons, and you won't be able to find an analytical reason. Okay, so keep that in mind above all things. And when mine fell away, I didn't understand that either. And I didn't even know I was going into a dark night of the soul. So for me, that's why I say it's scary. And it looked as if I no longer understood a goddamn thing. I said I didn't know who I was. I know. I don't know who I was. I don't know who that person was, because that person no longer exists. The minute I got out of bed this morning, the cells in my body changed. We have miraculous cells in our body, and we are not in control of their multi-division, their turning over, their regeneration, and there are 40 trillion cells in your body, and they regenerate themselves every 30 days. Spirit, divine consciousness does not need you, me, and the fence posts intervening. What conscious needs is us to be used as light workers, healers. And that's why I'm here. I'm scared shitless, right? I'm scared, but that's okay. I'm going to show up anyway, because I know that fear is just my egoic patterns that have not quite fallen completely away. And it's trying to renew itself in its behavior. And I'm going to suit up, show up, walk through the fear, and I'm going to ask my Creator to show me the way, and I'm going to let go of the outcome. That's all you can do. It's all I can do is embrace it. I no longer interrupt things compulsively. I am presence. I am consciousness. I am the light of God. I am Buddha, if you want to call it that. I look at things, events, even people with a deep sense of appreciation and presence and aliveness and oneness that I'm just at awe sometimes. My senses are alive, and it is through my own senses of this aliveness that's driving me. And the more I follow that, the harder she drives me. And why do I say she? Because I'm a she, and I am consciousness. There is not a man in the sky who's going to show up and atone you for your sins. Your dark night of the soul will happen to you right here in this reality, or you will stay in a habitual mind pattern and create stress on a chronic level and promote disease in your body and die before your time. That's not rocket science. I'm in the medical field for 40 years. I know the processes of the body and how disease occurs. And I'm not trying to fit myself into an experience, into a conceptual framework anymore. I let it be as it is. I am consciousness, therefore I am. What is supposed to come will come. That's it. Now I'm supposed to share, teach, show others the way. So I'm going to leave some tips and some helpful information for you all. And don't think that I'm giving these tips lightly, because I am, and I have been, or my egoic mind has been one of the most stubborn things that has been attached to a fire hydrant, strapped and chained and padlocked 35 fucking miles away. So I understand this is not as easy as I say. And no, when I say this, I understand. I do. Accept, make an effort to face what's arising head on, no matter what it is. Seek advice from a spirit person, an advisor, a Reiki practitioner, a guru, someone that's been through this. Pursue any healing modalities that help you heal. Meditation, yoga, massage, dance, music, Reiki, rest. One of the hardest things through a spiritual awakening is learning how to love yourself. We don't do that very well. This is not a punishment or a prosecution from the universe, and you need to remember nothing is wrong with you. Know the process is a natural process, right? Of your spiritual awakening and your evolution and your ascension. This process is considered shedding layers of all of the things which no longer serve you. It's a normal process. There's nothing to be scared about. There's nothing to be fearful about. You don't need to be paranoid. I went through a stage of paranoia. You can ask the person I stayed with. I boxed their whole front porch in with boxes because I was being chased. And it was my egoic mind trying to renew itself. I just didn't know it at the time. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. To get through the dark night of the soul, you must go through the darkness to the light. You can reach out to me. You can email me. You can leave a comment. I have several links below, and I will leave resources after it uploads. Remember, if you're going through this, the ego is dying, and it will give you lots of advice. It may blame, prosecute, persecute people, places, and things, or something, or anything else that you might think of. Ego is sneaky, like I said, but it cannot reside in love. So allow the emotions that you feel to be felt. Feel them fully, no matter how rocky the feelings are. I've been on my kitchen floor in my panties begging to God to take me or end this, because I can't take anymore. So I understand, and I have no shame in saying that. I've been going through the dark night of the soul, and I try not to engage any of the thinking that my egoic mind wants to. And sometimes there is a residual that lies within our emotional processes, our psychological body, our emotional body, our physical body, lying in the cells, embedded, negative energy, positive energy, or in between. It doesn't matter. It has to go somewhere, and it begins to stack and store. So you need to allow those emotions to free themselves. That's why I saw black balls being dropped. I don't know what you'll see. No matter how rocky those feelings are for you, try not to engage them. Go have a massage. Go journal. Go write about the things you're going through, the experiences that you're possibly having. Leave me an email. Go to do what I did. I went to spiritual centers. I went and had a massage. I upped my Reiki practitioner and, got initiated in that. I began teaching and doing divinations and showing other people the way. And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing a thing. I'm only taking the action that's required of me on a practical level. The rest is consciousness, not I. So it's very important that you try to remember that. I know it's a lot to understand that I've just talked about. And I would love to be able to answer any of your questions that you have, if you have any. If I can. If I can't, I don't have a problem telling you I can't answer that yet. But I know there has been much research out there that states that it takes 7 years for a spiritual awakening to take complete integration. I don't find that to be the case in my soul. I find that my soul is integrating rather rapidly. And during the times that we're in, 2021, and the age of Aquarius, and some of the other things I've been experiencing, I think I have and am going through a very rapid transformation for some reason. This began March 28th, 2019 for me. So it's 2 years and 2 months. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask, okay? Because there's no question that's stupid. I would ask questions that you can't even imagine. Okay. I would tell the doctors, you better do an EEG, you better do this or this or this or this, because I think I've lost my mind. I think I've lost my mind. You better lock me up. I went through it all. I did it all. So I can direct you and I can help and tell you how I got through it, and I can assist you. And the Bible says where one or two are, there he is in the midst. So between us building and growing together, consciousness will bring us together. Yes. And we will increase the consciousness of this collective on this universe. And that's what my goal is, to teach and to show others the way. So I appreciate you guys so much for stopping in today. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. I will be putting a new platform up, Cracked Wide Open, and placing all those videos on that platform. Please feel free to comment over there. I don't know when I'll be doing that. I'll let you guys know. And I'll also be doing a live activation on June 10th for those of you that are looking for a live full moon activation. So mark your calendar dates. I'll be putting up updates on those and doing 2 monthly teaching videos for you, and one monthly live, so you can ask any Q&As that you might like. You have to remember I am in the process too, and I have someone that I'm seeking counsel from, but it's not a person. I only have consciousness, and that's my best counsel. And so I rely upon that source. And consciousness tells me you are the student, and when the student shows up, there is the teacher. And when you are the teacher, your students will come. It's simple. It's a polarity. So please sound off in the comment section below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Please share the video, because there is some videos out there on misconception on what the dark night of the soul is. Please go back and look at any of the videos that I have under Cracked Wide Open. I will post any resource links for you all. I will post links for some of the channels to follow. Remember, pain, it's only a visitor. It's only a visitor, and it's a message from your higher soul knocking. It's only temporary. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I do appreciate it. You humble me greatly. Namaste.